Rise, man.
The Force will be with you.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Star Wars Meg, here to give you all of the news from a galaxy far, far away, and once again to provide you with a Mandalorian Season 2 update. Chapter 12 or Season 2 Episode 4 of The Mandalorian drops tomorrow, so the wait is nearly over for our next installment of Mando. Today's updates include some problems that Djarin faces in regards to Baby Yoda going forward in Season 2. We're also going to be speaking about aspects of the Great Purge that were teased in Season 2 Episode 3 Chapter 11 that we got last week, and we're also going to speak about Ming-Na Wen, who plays Fennec Shand. But before I get into the news update, please may I ask you to hit like down below, subscribe if you're brand new, and also make sure you hit that notification bell to be alerted each and every time I post new content here on my channel. You can expect daily Star Wars updates from me, and without too much jibber jabber, let's get into it. So first on the agenda, my friends, we're going to look at this article which states The Mandalorian Season 2 creates a problem for Mando and Baby Yoda. Overall, in Chapter 11, The Heiress, Mando and Baby Yoda's trip to Trask, albeit having a rocky start, ultimately succeeded. Not only did he get solid information that would help his mission significantly, but he also met newfound allies in Bo-Katan and her team. Amidst all of these wins, however, Din has a big problem going forward. The child's repulsor lift has been destroyed. After Baby Yoda was saved from the Mama Core, his cradle was left in the Quarren's ship, which Bo-Katan bombed. While it is true that the child can move around on his own, his floating pod allowed for a quicker way for him to keep up with Din. Now that that's gone, Din would have to pay more attention to the infant. Throughout their journey so far, the cradle proved to be useful in other ways aside from keeping the child with Mando at all times without needing to manually carry him. Most importantly, it served as a cocoon for the child in the case of dangerous situations. Ever since his debut in Season 1, the child was already with his carrier, so there were theories that it may have some clue as to where the infant came from, but that's obviously not the case as now it's destroyed with the Quarren's ship. While it doesn't have any narrative significance, it had major practical benefits. Moving forward, Din would have to manually carry the child with him, restricting his movements in case they find themselves in another dangerous situation, which they would. So as for a little bit of commentary on this article, I think they bring up a valid point. I hadn't really considered this because, let's be honest, we were all thrown off course when Bo-Katan Kryze and her team showed up. We were so focused on who Sasha Banks' character ended up being, which was Koska Reeves, a new Mandalorian we had not seen before. But now that we know that Mando has to carry the child, there is added danger and the child is much more vulnerable than he was before. And speaking about this thing, they mention about theories to do with where the child came from and why he was found with the carrier pod in the first place. Let me know your theories down below as to why Baby Yoda has this pod, and more so, does it reveal any clues as to where the child comes from? Okay, so now we're going to move on to an article from Inverse, and this one is The Mandalorian Season 2 teases the return of the most evil Star Wars weapon. One of the greatest mysteries of The Mandalorian is what happened to Din Djarin's home planet prior to the events of the show. In Season 1, Mando mentioned that all of his people were dead, but now we know that that is not the case. While Mandalore never appears in the original films, we know that the Empire took control of the planet from the Clone Wars. A fascinating new theory expands on what really happened there, and how it could involve an iconic Star Wars weapon. In Season 2's third episode, Din Djarin's search for other Mandos is halted after crossing paths with Bo-Katan Kryze, Koska Reeves and Axe Wolves, confirming that Mandalorians still exist. Bo-Katan reveals that she's attempting to locate the Darksaber and reclaim Mandalore from the Empire. Mando's response to her crusade is rather surprising. He states, "That planet is cursed. Anyone who goes there dies. Once the Empire knew they couldn't control it, they made sure no one else could either." But one Star Wars fan on Reddit surmises that the Empire, knowing they could defeat the Mandalorians, used the Death Star in an attempt to destroy the planet. We can assume that Mandalore is still in orbit, but the theory points to at least the partial destruction of the planet. The theory would certainly explain why Djarin previously believed the Mandalorians to be dead. In Season 1, Paz Vizsla said that Mandalore was shattered by the Empire. Who's to say he didn't mean that literally? We also know how the Empire leaves nothing but devastation in its wake, so it makes sense that the Death Star may have been the final nail in the coffin for Mandalore. It's possible that the Mandalorians' defense tactics prevented the Empire from blasting the planet to smithereens, leaving at least most or half of it intact and still habitable. Bo-Katan's potential retrieval of the Darksaber, a weapon belonging to her people, would mark a triumphant return to Mandalore and a fresh start for its citizens. Now, as for the fate of the Darksaber, I've heard so many different theories about who will reclaim it by the end of Season 2. I've heard some more extravagant theories such as the child or even Corky Kreese will reclaim the Darksaber, but I think the most likely is that it will return to Bo-Katan. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. If it's true, this theory would combine information we already have about Mandalore and expand on it. The only issue is the timeline of events. If the Empire did attempt to blow up the planet, it would have to have happened prior to or during Episode 4, when the Empire was at its most powerful and the siege of Mandalore was already over. And now, my friends, we turn our heads to Ming-Na Wen, who has been trying to start a petition to bring her character back. Of course, she plays Fennec Shand in Season 1, and this is what the article states. Fennec Shand, an elite assassin who crossed paths with Mando on Tatooine, was one of the most well-received newcomers to appear in Mando. Ming-Na Wen, who portrayed the character, recently opened up about her desire to see Fennec appear in future installments of the popular Disney Plus series. In an interview with Insider, she noted that although her character's fate appeared dire at the end of Season 1, she would jump at the opportunity to portray Fennec Shand in The Mandalorian again and encourage fans to start a petition. So in her own words, "I would like for you to start a petition. I think it was just announced that The Mandalorian was picked up for Season 3. I am not opposed to seeing her character again in The Mandalorian, and maybe she could shed light of who the mysterious character at the end of that episode was. A lot of people think it was either Moff Gideon or Boba Fett. But what about you guys? Do you want to see her character again? Are you impartial to it? Do you not care? Let me know down below. And so finally, we're going to turn our eyes to CBR, who wrote an article about the squid-faced Quarren that we see in Chapter 11. Over the course of its first 11 episodes, The Mandalorian has succeeded in bringing greater nuance to previously one-note Star Wars species like the Jawas and especially the Tusken Raiders. However, it has yet to do the same for the squid-faced Quarren, which continue to be depicted as hostile and untrustworthy individuals. Now, on this whole topic of Lucasfilm reinventing species that were previously given a bad rep, I've done a full video on how the Tusken Raiders have been changed by this current season of Mando, so go over to my channel and check that video out. I'm sure you'll really like it if you're into the whole video essay style things that I do from time to time. But back to the article. Known for their facial tentacles and native to Mon Cala, the Quarren have been characterized as shady characters since their first appearance on The Mandalorian. During the show's opening minutes, Din Djarin gets into a bar fight with a group of patrons that includes a Quarren, whom he knocks around before cutting in half with the establishment's front door. The species stays true to form in Chapter 11, The Heiress, in which the captain of a Quarren fishing ship on the moon of Trask deceives Din by offering to lead him to other Mandalorians, only to steal the bounty hunter's Beskar armor by attempting to feed him and the child to a hungry Mamako instead. Starting with Tessek in Return of the Jedi, the Quarren have been depicted as duplicitous and self-serving. This continued in the Clone Wars, and The Mandalorian Season 2 has not added any more depth to their species. This article is right in a way. They are staying true to how Quarrens have been traditionally depicted in Star Wars. They didn't add any more nuance nor redeem the culture. And there's probably a good reason why they didn't do this, probably because it was such an important episode with all of these new characters and the return of Bo-Katan Kreese. They didn't want to take away from any of that by adding even more nuance to an infamous species within Star Wars. So my friends, that is all of the news I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure you give me a big fat like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also just a public service announcement. Tomorrow, Chapter 12 drops in the morning, and I will be, as always, doing a full breakdown and review straight after I've seen it twice. So I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. I really hope you stick around on my channel for that tomorrow. And until then, may the Force be with you.